Fran's perspective. I walk through the starboard gallery of the Bright Plume on deck 0. On my right walks a man who stands a third my height again taller than me, taking one step to my 2 and not walking as softly as he normally does. My mouth tastes of his. Our orders are simple. Get in, get a piece of thanatite, and bring it back to her while not drawing attention. If we're chased, lose the pursuer before coming to the meeting place. If anyone gets in our way, deal with them. We hit the bottom of the stairs and climb the 5 meter up to deck 1 before taking a right across the balcony to the dorm door. Fran? Victor? What's going on? Comes Twilla's curious voice, speaking English over the hallway speakers. We weren't given any instructions about what to do if anyone tries to speak to us, so we ignore her and walk into the Vrakhans' common room. We march over to the far wall, on which 2 crossed spears hang, their shafts solid, dense dark wood, their heads polished, glossy, red biomaterial. Victor extends his arms to take down the one on the outside that I would have had difficulty reaching. Without a word, he brings the tip down to rest against the floor, pointing in my direction. I step on the point with my left foot and raise my right to bring down my heel on the shaft, directly above the socket, just about managing to successfully crack through it in one try. Tossing the heavy length of wood aside to clatter onto the ground, Victor bends down to pick up the 40cm thanatite blade out of the impression of it that I just stamped into the floor. Standing back up, he tucks what we were ordered to retrieve into his belt, and we turn to leave. Guys, what's happening? Hello? Why are you ignoring me? Wait, is that Coco and Spearhead? What are you doing with that? Comes Twilla's voice as soon as we're back out in the corridor. Ignoring her again, we come out of the door and cross the balcony, making our way down the stairs and turning left to head back out, towards the planetside hangar bay the ship is occupying. We get roughly halfway down the gallery before a door opens to our right, and a shortish man with dark hair and a medium build steps out, looking at us.
Ming Todi, Fang Todi, Niman Yang Jizai Zuzrim, Zen Miliao?
He asks as he approaches. Unlike the man next to me, who speaks 2 Sintic languages, I don't speak Mandarin, so I'm not able to recognize any meaning beyond him opening with our Dharmic names. Not that I could respond if I did. Both of us keep walking, ignoring him until the very moment he puts himself in our way. With him still around 15 meters in front of us, I drop into a low ma-bu, horse stance, characteristic of the Huo-ga style that I favor. Victor lunges forward into a gong-bu, bow stance, as if he's about to shoot an invisible arrow at the man making himself an obstacle to our orders, characteristic of his acrobatic Chakwan foundation. Neither of us has spoken a word. Taken aback, our teacher flicks his eyes from mine to Victor's, and then to Victor's belt.
Oh, Niman Yang de Xingzhai Zede Bushi, Zijen Bushi Ma? Zekru Te Wilia Gasu Wede,
observes the supercentenarian. He brings up his arms in front of him and covers his right fist with his left palm, bowing his head briefly in a Pakwan. Then, whitening and bending his legs, turning his toes to point inward and folding his arms to bring his palm-up fists to just below his armpits, he simply states,
Zhozhe Yamba, Wohin and Yiman Yang de Zanjo.
From his stance, it seems that, from the hundreds of styles he's mastered, the old man has selected Wing Chun as the best counter to the mix of my low, powerful, solid, and Victor's dynamic, explosive, acrobatic styles. I know that I would normally feel happy that he's chosen the 7 style, but right now, I feel nothing at all. Our bodies angle to put our respective dominant hands towards him. Victor and I advance on Master Yuan. He does not move from his Kim Yo-ma stance. Victor leaps into the air, easily higher than our opponent is tall, and brings up his right leg to hinder than his own head, before bringing the heel down towards Yan's. At the same time, I rush his right side and aim a Jik-Kyu, direct bridge, strike at his center of mass. Barely moving his body, The old man raises both his arms to perform 2 simultaneous Tan Sao, palm-up blocks, deflecting my fist in front of him and Victor's foot behind. The instant Victor's right foot touches the ground, he wills to bring his left around from behind him and down on Yuan in 3 successive kicks, with an astonishing combination of agility and power. With his left arm, our opponent blocks and deflects the kicks without looking at them, while his right is unleashing a rapid-fire barrage of strikes at me, aiming to break my centre line and knock me off balance. If I were any less strong than the strongest woman in the galaxy, if I were any less than 1/6 of a ton, more than twice his weight, if I were using any style that didn't focus so strongly on rooting me to the ground in an unbreakably solid stance, he would definitely succeed. His more than a century of iron body training gives him a physicality like no other organic being I've ever fought, more like Stetter in his power and solidity. Having dedicated his life to combat training, his mental responsiveness is unparalleled. He knows what strikes we are about to make before we do. There isn't anything I could compare him to that would do the way he fights justice. Describing him as machine-like would be the closest in its analogy to his speed, power, and solidity, but would create the false impression that his fighting was clinical, unflexible, and uninspired. He puts the more than 30 combined years of combat training and experience between the 2 masters he's fighting utterly to shame, or he would do if shame was something either of us could feel right now. The 2 of us have nearly 4 kilos to his every one, and it doesn't seem to matter. Our every punch, our every kick, is dodged or blocked. I've taken dozens of light punches to the face. No matter how much iron palm training he's done, his bundle of spindly metacarpals and funnel edges is not winning a contest of solidity with the skull of a Neanderthal with a defective bone density limiter gene. But at this point, seeming to realize that the pain he's attempting to blind me with is registering to me more as data than anything else, he switches to my chest, aiming rapid, hard strikes at my floating ribs and between my breasts to my solar plexus. He's trying to knock the air out of my lungs. If I can't breathe, I can't fight. I would be flattered by the extent to which he's focusing on trying to remove me from the fight first, if such things matter to me at the moment. The hard thuds of him using his forelimbs to bat away the strikes of our combined 8 echo through the cavernous spaceship gallery. Victor's explosive acrobatic Chakwan utilizes the full length and power of his long, strong limbs. Chakwan, the northern style it's a branch of, was one of the main ones that originally inspired firebending, and it definitely gives the appropriate impression of ferocity. I have very much imagined him sending blades of flame with his strikes when we fought before. The low, unyielding, firmly rooted Huangare practice was one of the main inspirations for earthbending, and is not at all difficult to understand why. By contrast, the direct, lightning-fast, highly interceptive Wing Chun the dark-haired man is employing focused on economy of motion, adaptability, and simultaneous attack and defense, has neither the ferocity and dynamism of Victor's style, nor the power of mine. Nevertheless, is quite an effective counter to both. He's able to make denying the 2 of us the slightest opening look nearly effortless. Victor's agility and my power had leveled more than 100 strikes against him in the 30 seconds since the fight began, and not a single one has connected with his head or torso. That is until Victor lands a strike on the back of his shoulder. He sees it coming and knows he won't be able to block it or dodge it, so he sucks in a breath and tenses the area that's about to be struck, angling it away from the punch as much as possible and relaxing the rest of his body. The hit connects, and though he rolls with it, sharply expelling the held breath to dissipate the energy, the next few strikes he blocks make it clear the strength is gone from his left arm. He adjusts his stance, trying now to keep both of us on his right side and using his left arm as little as possible, but it's clear that that hit has significantly altered the calculus of this fight. With all 4 limbs in full working order, he was more than a match for us. His left arm being down to half its prior capacity has reduced his overall rating by far more than an 1/8. He continues to block and dodge Victor's fierce flying kicks and my formidably strong punches, but he's backing away now, not able to hold his ground anymore. Victor connects another strike to his chest, then another, and another. Finally, I see a gap open up, and I lunge forward to deliver a crushing direct hit to his solar plexus. The small man is thrown backwards to land on the silvery metallic floor, several meters behind him, while the grunt of his lungs collapsing and the crack of his ribs breaking reverberates off of the cathedral-like space above us. Without hesitating, Victor strides past the wheezing old man, not sparing him a second thought. I hesitate only a moment, considering whether leaving him alive satisfies the order, "Deal with him." He looks up at me and chokes,
"To Wing, Ming, to Wing, Fang, to Winky. 我命令的白，你们两个."
his voice strangulated, and his expression sad. I look from him to the broad shoulders of the man walking away, before following on, leaving the half-dead man behind us.